Protein is absolutely crucial and critical in order to achieve a body recomposition goal, which is where you're losing body fat while maintaining muscle mass. If you want to achieve a weight loss goal that actually lasts without feeling hungry, then it's so important that you're actually eating enough high quality protein, which is why I talk about it so much on my channel. It was a huge revelation for me many years ago, which once I discovered the impact on protein on my body, it was a complete game changer for my own body recomposition and how I feel in my skin, so many different things. However, there's a big problem because for a really long time, I'd kind of limited myself to certain types of proteins like chicken, eggs, and pretty much just like that's it, which means my meals were getting really boring really quickly. Not to mention actually making meals that had enough protein was difficult because protein actually takes time to cook, which I'm so glad I found these 6 proteins because they help cover each of those bases. They help add a ton of variety as well as nutrient variety to my meals. And they also provided really fast and easy sources of protein that I could have very quickly, especially at lunchtime. So today I'm sharing the 6 proteins I wish I had started eating a lot earlier. It would have made my life so much easier. Let's dive into it. My name's Autumn. I'm a certified clinical nutritionist with my master's nutrition human performance, and today's video is sponsored by Element. More on them in a bit. Okay, the first is a chuck roast. Now this might seem really basic. I didn't grow up eating meat, so for me this was like a revelation. It's also one of the more recent additions to my diet. Probably in like the last couple of years is when I really started to introduce the chuck roast, which if you aren't familiar with the chuck roast, it's commonly used for pot roast. It's one of the cheapest cuts of beef, but it's also incredibly rich in high quality protein as well as other essential nutrients. It's an amazing source of bioavailable iron, which means we actually can get and absorb a lot of it. Beef in general is also one of the most satiating foods you could eat, which means it really helps to prevent hunger and cravings. Now, what I love specifically about the chuck roast is that it is an inexpensive cut of beef. And if you're new to cooking meat, it's also one of the hardest to mess up because all you really do is sear it and then slow cook it for many hours and it just comes apart. It is so delicious, so tender. Oh my gosh, it is amazing. And if you have a lot of people to feed, whether it be like for a party or for your family, it is one that you can feed a lot of people with while not spending a ton of money, while still getting an incredibly delicious and nutrient-packed meal. Okay, the second protein is canned tuna. I hated fish growing up because I just was not exposed to it. I wish I was earlier because fatty fish like tuna or salmon is just so packed with obviously protein, but also anti-inflammatory omega-3 fats. Salmon more so than tuna, but tuna is so easily accessible and you can pretty much always find canned tuna anywhere you go. And each can of tuna, depending on the brand, will have anywhere between 35 to 40 grams of complete protein, which is so much. Most people are only getting like 10, 15, maybe 20 grams of complete protein at a meal, which is not enough for most people. So having canned tuna on hand and in the pantry just makes getting a high quality source of protein very fast and easy. I'll take a can and make tuna salad, or I'll just dump it on top of a regular salad. It's just really fast and really easy and a good staple to have on hand if you are always in a time crunch. I like the brand Safe Catch because they do test for mercury, which can be an important consideration. Now, not related to protein, but something that's been a game changer for me is including today's sponsor, Element, because Element is an incredible electrolyte company that was specifically created with whole food eating, intermittent fasting, and athletes in mind. Element actually contains the sodium, magnesium, and potassium to help balance out lost electrolytes, all without having any sugar. I take at least 1 Element per day. I found on days that I don't take Element, I tend to get like a 3 p.m. energy crash from the lack of electrolytes. And I love that Element just tastes so good. My personal favorite is their grapefruit salt. I usually take this one after my first meal, mix it with some water, and oh my gosh, it's just so refreshing, especially now that the weather's warming up. Like, they definitely nailed this flavor. But Element also has some other great flavors like raspberry salt and citrus salt and orange salt, which I always make sure to have on hand wherever I go. And right now, Element is offering my viewers a free sample pack with any order. That's 8 single serve packets free with any Element order. It's a really great way to test out all 8 flavors, so you can get yours at drinkelement.com/autumn. It's only available through my link, so make sure to check out drinklmnt.com/autumn. The link will also be in the description down below. Okay, the third protein I wish I started eating earlier was ground beef. Probably also basic for a lot of people watching this. Maybe you've been eating ground beef your whole life. I really didn't. Again, I grew up vegetarian, so I didn't really eat a lot of meat growing up. It wasn't really until high school that I even started to eat chicken, and then probably in college that I started to eat beef. But ground beef is such a game changer for me because it is so versatile and it's also fairly inexpensive. I love that if I'm in a pinch, I can have dinner ready in like 7 minutes because I can just saute up some ground beef in a pan and pair it with whatever veggies I'm having. So it's really fast and easy, but then I can also make delicious other types of slow cooked or medium cooked length meals. Like one of my favorites lately, I've been making so many different types of meatballs. Like, I'm obsessed with meatballs right now. Or slow cooked bolognese. Like, oh, There's so many ways to make ground beef taste so good. And it also has all those additional benefits as the chuck roast, having bioavailable iron, a high amount of protein, as well as other micronutrients like selenium. Okay, the fourth I wish I found earlier was Skyr. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I used to eat a lot of Greek yogurt, and I'm actually going to start making it more again, purely because we eat so much of it, and it does save money to make it yourself. But when I'm buying yogurt, I love to buy Skyr, because Skyr is similar to Greek yogurt, but it's even higher in protein, so you don't have to eat as much of it. Because when you are trying to eat enough protein to help with a body recomposition goal, you do need to eat quite a bit. And for like a breakfast or a lunch, if you want to have it primarily be like a yogurt bowl, to eat it from Greek yogurt, you need about 1.5 cups, but from Skyr, you only need about 1.25 cups. So both are great options, Greek and Skyr, but I like using Skyr if I'm going to buy yogurt because it is just so dang protein packed. If you are going to buy Skyr though, make sure you look for the full fat variety, because a lot of Skyr yogurts are made with skim or zero fat milk, but a lot of the satiety and nutrient benefits are actually found in the fat. So in order to actually feel satisfied and prevent cravings, you want to make sure you're getting full fat, but also the really important vitamin K2, which is needed for bone and heart health, is found in the fat. So Siggy's is a great Skyr brand that I've seen that also has full fat Skyr. Okay, the fifth thing I wish I started having more of earlier is whole milk. Now, because I didn't really grow up eating a lot of dairy, especially milk, I pretty much never had milk growing up. I used to be a lot more lactose intolerant than I am now. But after years of healing my gut with intermittent fasting and slowly introducing dairy, I found that I can actually have some whole milk now, and it's not a problem for me at all, which is great because whole milk does provide a good source of protein, but also calcium as well. Now, I don't use whole milk primarily as a protein source because you would need to drink a lot of milk to use it primarily for protein. I think it's about 33 ounces of milk you'd have to drink in order to get about 30 grams of complete protein. But I do like to add milk into various recipes in order to just slightly bump up the protein amount while also getting those other additional health benefits. So for example, I'll use it in sauces like in my bolognese sauce, or I'll use it as the base of my zero sugar hot chocolate recipe. If you guys have not tried that recipe, you need it in your life like ASAP. It is so good. It has zero added sugar. Plus it has about 19 grams of complete protein. You need the recipe in your life, you can find it right here. Okay, the sixth protein I wish I found a lot earlier was cottage cheese. When I first started adding more dairy into my life about 8 years ago, I had tried cottage cheese and I love the flavor. Like, I'm one of those people that actually legitimately loves cottage cheese. I know that there's like team anti-cottage cheese and people who love cottage cheese. I'm on the team that loves cottage cheese. But 8 years ago when I first tried it, it gave me such a bad stomach ache, like such bad bloating. And that's because I hadn't properly introduced dairy into my diet yet, and my gut hadn't really been healed yet. So any amount of lactose was a huge issue, because even though cottage cheese is a lower lactose dairy item, it still does have lactose in it. But now, like 8 years later, I can eat a whole tub of cottage cheese and be perfectly fine, which is great because cottage cheese is very high in protein. Just like Skyr, about 1.25 cups, depending on the brand, will give you roughly 30 grams of complete protein. So if you're really busy and don't have time to cook, especially a lunch, relying on cottage cheese as your protein base can be a huge time saver. I like to make cottage cheese bowls, kind of like Greek yogurt bowls, but made with cottage cheese instead, where I'll put either sauteed blueberries on top or fresh fruit, as well as some nuts or nut butter. It's a 3-ingredient meal that's packed with high quality protein, fat, and fiber that keeps me satisfied for about 4 hours and literally takes minutes to throw together. An absolute game changer, especially now that I'm a new mom with even less time. In fact, I love cottage cheese so much, I've been using it in a lot of different recipes, and I've discovered a lot of really cool ways you can use it. So if you want to check out the 5 ways you can use cottage cheese, you can find that video right here. Also, if you're new to my channel and you love this science-backed information, make sure you subscribe right here. Come out new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in my next video.